Juice, momentous times call for momentous projects like your parents making dorky visits to you via video. And there's a purpose for that, a reason. And it's because we want to encourage you going forward. You're leaving the nest. You've done well. You're respectful. And we have not had significant anger between us ever. That might still happen someday. You'll be forgiving of that ahead of that occasion. But there's some encouragement that I want to give, and it's the same encouragement I've tried to steer you to your whole life, that God is your God, that He made you, that He's given you the truth that we can know so far in our existence and so far in the life of this universe, because He's given it to us in His Word. And the only thing that I've ever had of worth to say is what He said. So I'd steer you to that. And I'm going to read some verses quickly because there's not much time. But I want your heart to go back to them your whole life. Proverbs 3 is the first verse. Just trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him. He'll make your path straight. Don't leave that teaching. Colossians 3, those where you should spend time, and tack that on your heart. And I'm going to read it quickly, and I'm going to even paraphrase some of it. But Paul said, if you've been raised with Christ, then don't put your things hard on things on earth, but put them on Christ, who's seated at the right hand of the throne of God. And set your mind on those things above, not on things here on earth. He says to do that because you've died with Christ and you've been raised with Him. And that when Christ appears, we'll be with Him in glory. So because of that, he tells you, or tells us, put to death what's earthly in us. So he talks about sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desires, greed, covetousness, which is idolatry. It says, on account of these things, God's wrath is coming. We walked in those ways too, but now we have to put them off. We have to put off anger and wrath, malice, slander, obscene talk out of our mouths. Don't lie to each other, seeing that you've put off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator. Talks about how we're kind of all one in Christ. But because of all these things, he says this. He says, put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with each other, and if one has a complaint against each other, forgive each other, because Jesus has forgiven us. Above all of these things, you have to put on love. It's patient and kind. It doesn't envy or boast. It isn't arrogant or rude. It doesn't insist on its own way. It doesn't rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. It bears, hopes, and believes all things, and it never ends. That love. So he asks us to put that on, and it binds everything together in perfect harmony. Paul would tell you more about how that works in 1 Corinthians. But because of this, you can let the peace of Christ rule in your heart, which is indeed to what we were called to belong to one body, and to be thankful. And let the word of Christ dwell richly in you. Teach and admonish in wisdom. Sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God. And whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of Christ. Give thanks to God, the Father, through Him. If you put that on your heart, follow it in moments of indecision or hesitation, unsurety. If you have those verses on your heart, you'll go far and you'll do well. And that's about the best gift at this moment, at a moment like this, that I can give you. Listen to it, and we don't go away, Lord willing. Adult kids are still kids. We're here for you. We love you and we're proud of you. We think you're smart. You know how to fix the Suburban when we're stranded in Ludington. Good work. Bye.